Married 33 years, D-Day 3 days ago. We've been married for 33 years, myself, male 55, my wife, 55 female, 2 children, and 2 grandchildren, all of whom we adore. Background. We met in the 1980s at a nightclub where I was working as a bouncer, went on a date, moved in together 2 months later, and married 2 years later. We had a lovely life, with work, recreation, and kids. I moved from a highly active work to a more sedentary one and gained a lot of weight, to the point where I couldn't even complete because I would have an asthma attack. We tried various methods to spice up our life and were always faithful. I had previously been cheated on, therefore infidelity was a red line that my wife and I never crossed. We loved each other and assumed we'd die together. 33 years married is a long time, but I grew to love her more with each passing year. After 20 years of a dead bedroom, I decided to lose weight, so after 2 years, I lost 80 kilograms, 176 pounds, and had a tummy tuck. I know it sounds vain, but there were 3 main reasons. 1, so I could see my grandkids grow up. 2, obviously, my health, and 3, to rekindle our life, which it did. We had around 3 or 4 times each week for the previous 2 years, and my wife loved every minute of it. I knew this since her body doesn't lie. So we were in a situation where we could enjoy our lives together. She still claims she loves me and I adore her. I've never cheated on her, and I'm sure she hasn't either. It's just one of those things. That is, until 3 days ago. She went on a vacation with her 2 sisters, traveling interstate with them. I had no issue with this since I trusted her, but she understood that cheating was a deal breaker with us, and it still is after 33 years. We had a relationship in which nothing was concealed. We had applications on our phones that allowed us to track each other's movements. This had nothing to do with a lack of trust. No phones were hidden, and we both had access to our texts and emails. Trust was never a problem. When I dropped weight and began to look better, I received more attention from women, which I dismissed since I was happily married. My wife would say that she felt a bit nervous now that I was being deemed beautiful by others, and she had gained some weight. This never bothered me since I adore her regardless of her appearance. I tell her every day how much I adore her and how gorgeous she is. R is fantastic, and I regret that we didn't try harder early on. Anyway, I had just left work and was on my way home when my wife called. She was furious and inquired whether my sister-in-law had spoken to me. Why did I say no? I inquired what was wrong, not expecting to hear what she was going to tell. She admitted to me that she cheated and had with another guy, that she is very remorseful, and that she had no idea what came over her. I was stunned, and my heart simply crushed. I sat in my vehicle, numb, as she proceeded, saying her sisters and she were having a few drinks when a married couple joined them. They drank until 2 a.m., when her sisters departed to return to their rooms. When the pub closed, she informed me she was quite intoxicated and went with the couple to their room to continue drinking and chatting. They were both very kind and continued telling my wife how attractive she was and how fortunate her husband was. The guy then began to touch her, and the wife encouraged both of them. They assured her that no one would notice and that she should just enjoy herself. She said it wasn't even her, but she had with the husband as his wife watched. When she awoke in the morning, she was in bed with both of them sleeping, and she hurried back to her room. Her sister apprehended her and told her everything. Her sister warned her that if she didn't tell me, she would. She told me all of this over the phone, weeping and pleading for my forgiveness. I was totally stunned. How could she simply toss our life away? She was weeping and started repeating how sorry she is and how much she hates herself, how much she loves me, and how she made a horrible mistake. I informed her she didn't make a mistake, but rather made a choice. I then hung up and switched off my phone. I went home and sat on a chair, trying to figure out what would happen next. I sobbed as I remembered my wife and the years we spent together. I sobbed at the loss of our future together as well as the impact her choice would have on our family. My life as I knew it had come to an end. I switched off my phone for the past 2 days and then turned it back on. Needless to say, there were hundreds of texts from her and her sisters, the last of which said she was on her way home. My children attempted to contact me as their mother called to check if I was okay and if they had heard from me. I called my kids and told them what had occurred and that I was okay, but that I needed to pull myself together before she got home. I requested them not to tell her where I'm going because I need to accept the end of my marriage. I just texted my soon-to-be ex-wife to inform her that we are divorcing and that I do not want to hear from her. I'm not interested in the specifics, and I'm not interested in her anymore. The agony is unbearable. I never imagined our love could be gone so swiftly. Update: I apologize for rambling, but I have a lot on my mind and it keeps moving from one issue to another. A few of clarifications. Our dead bedroom wasn't entirely dead, although it seemed to be after the previous 2 years. My active career was in the military, and I was wounded during a training exercise, which resulted in a desk job, then medical release, and then my wife and I started a small company. Now, before I talked to my wife, I had spoken extensively with my sister-in-law and her husband. The tale my wife told me was not the same as the one she told me when she initially confessed. My children were shocked by what occurred and just wanted to support me. I explained to them that even if they were unhappy with their mother, she was still their mother and the grandmother of their children. She loves them, and nothing she has done to our marriage changes that. My wife and her sisters did cut their vacation short and returned home. I left a message for my wife instructing her to pack and go stay with her mother. She did it. The facts of what happened are much worse than what my wife told me. Even though she confessed under the danger of being exposed, she didn't disclose the truth, which comes as no surprise. My wife supposedly told her sister everything, and I won't know what to believe until I get down with my wife. This is the narrative she told her sister. She loves me and our marriage. She never planned to do this. She blames our vigorous life over the previous 2 years for her desire to discover what else she had been missing. She felt this way because she was always the more beautiful person in the relationship, but she now feels the roles have been flipped. She was insecure and craved the attention of others. She claims it was the first time, but it was planned. She acted on a dream. She was itching an itch and would never tell me. The pair she met, unbeknownst to her sisters, were interstate clients of ours. I haven't met them, but my wife chatted with them on the phone all the time. My wife went out to meet them for drinks, but her sisters accompanied her, so they pretended to be strangers till they departed. She drank, but she wasn't inebriated. Before they left, all three had this planned. My wife will be dropping over this afternoon to discuss. She seemed to be terrified of what may happen. I've already decided what I'm going to do. She decided to cheat, but the consequences will be felt by everyone. Already, the fact of her adultery, although painful to me, strengthens my determination. I didn't cheat, I didn't push her to lie. Her sentiments that she has lost me and her marriage are accurate, and I don't care how unhappy she is. She did this, no one else, but we will all have to cope with it now. We've finished and must now navigate our new lives. Final update. First and foremost, thank you to the 99% of you who have shown your support. It is really appreciated. For those who blamed me, I have no doubt that you have your own problems to cope with, and I wish you the best of success. This is a lengthy article because I couldn't stop typing. It felt wonderful to get it down in words and was a bit therapeutic. This will be my last update for a bit, and for those who are curious, I will write in a few months to let you know how things are going. I had the conversation with my wife yesterday. We both realized that after so many years together, we don't sleep comfortably without the other by us, as we have for decades. So last night was the first time I got a decent night's sleep without her. She came around the house and stepped in the door, looking dreadful from lack of sleep, remorse, fear, and red eyes. Normally, my heart would shatter and I would comfort her, but not this time. I was seated at the table when she began to weep again and came in for a hug, blubbering that she messed up and is so sorry, and so on. I raised my hand and warned her not to touch me or sit down. She took a seat. I asked if she wanted a coffee since I was about to make one, and she said yes, so I prepared the coffee and returned to the table, her eyes never leaving mine. She began to talk, but I advised her to be quiet, answer my questions, and listen. This isn't about her, but about me and my marriage. I informed her we were done at this point. She had made her decision, and now it was my turn. I'd already made my decision, but I wanted to get the truth out of her, and I figured if she believed she had a chance, she'd be at least a bit honest. I told her I had talked with her sister, which was true, but not with the couple, which was false. But she was unaware of this. I felt funny inside, delighted that she was unhappy but sorry for us at the same time, along with disappointment, rage, and all the other regular emotions, but I was calm, and this frightened her out the most. To be honest, I felt like I was conducting a job interview. When I inquired how many times she had done it, she replied physically once and twice via video chat. I told her she had to explain what had transpired. She informed me that while they were discussing business, it went to flirting, and when the wife thought it was okay and became involved, it progressed to watching them having over a few months. She informed them that having while the wife was watching had long been a dream of hers, and they were all for it. She was weeping when she told me this, and she claimed it went too far. She knew it was risky, but it just added to her excitement. She began to tell me she was insecure, but I interrupted her and told her I didn't want to hear her nonsense reasons and justifications. I had to wait about 5 minutes for her to gather herself, and I even got up and brought her Kleenex. She said they met up as planned and went directly to the couple's room after her sisters left the pub. I asked her if she had any plans to inform me, and she replied no, It was simply a dream she believed she could fulfill and never worry about cheating again. When I branded her a liar and questioned if she had cheated in the previous 33 years, she answered never. I informed her that no matter how many times she'd cheated, whether once or 1,000 times, the outcome would be the same. The only people who will suffer if she lies are our children and her relationships with them, as well as our grandchildren. I told her I didn't believe her, but it didn't matter at this time. When she saw I had no intention of working through her infidelity, she begged me to work in our marriage, telling me she would do anything, I could do anything, she would allow me have affairs if I stayed, and she vowed she would never cheat again. I told her to listen to what she was saying since she had degraded herself sufficiently, that I would never cheat in a marriage, and that if I did sleep with another woman, we would be split with no possibility of reconciliation. This is the thing for my thoughts. She reached out to grasp my hand, but I promised her I would never touch her again. It's not that I judge anyone's lifestyle, it's their business, and I recognize that people have affairs, open marriages, and so on, but the point is that we didn't. When she intended to have another man's inside her, she damaged trust and respect. I've always been a pragmatic guy, and I simply felt relief. I promised her we'd make it as easy on ourselves as possible, and she viewed this as hope for our relationship, but I told her no, we're done, and I'll never touch you again, and I meant it. I'll never forget the fact that she another guy, and the lady I loved and married is now dead to me. She died when you not only another man but planned for it. All of our positive experiences, such as holidays, constructing our first house together, having and raising our children, and all of the laughter and challenges we encountered together, will be remembered. We are now living different lives, and I for one am excited to see what unfolds, which will not involve you. When I meet another lady, I wish to make new memories with her and rediscover love again. When I told her this, she started trembling and weeping, but it didn't bother me since I simply wanted this lady out of my home. She couldn't finish the conversation, so I walked down to the shed and called my kids while she gathered herself. When I informed them what was going on, they were quite supportive and advised me to complete it quickly. I went back up, and as soon as I came through the door, she apologized again, saying, "I'm sorry, but we can make this work." I sat down and told her that we were going to sell the home and business and divide the proceeds 50-50. She could have the vehicle while I kept the truck and motorbike, and she could keep the cats. I then advised her not to call, text, or contact me unless it was about the kids or grandchildren. I'll call the attorneys and start the divorce process, and she'll be free to anybody she wants now that she's a free woman. She said she didn't want to anyone else and that I was being purposefully rude and unemotional. I told her that I was being honest and that her actions had left me in an emotional blank. I informed her that she is solely responsible for the breakdown of a marriage and that no one else is to blame. I had unconditional love for her, and she was the one who screwed everything up. I then left the home so she could gather her thoughts and take a few more items with her before heading over to my daughter's. I spoke with her for a few hours and played with my granddaughter. When I arrived home, she was gone, and I enjoyed the nicest night's sleep I'd ever had without her. Now we wait to see what occurs in the next 6 months or so.